Aaron Goodwin was once the light-hearted face of Ghost Adventures. The guy fans loved for his nervous laughs and courage in the dark, but behind the fame, his real life unraveled into something more chilling than any haunted house. He battled crippling anxiety, lost relationships, and struggled with demons no camera ever caught. Yet nothing could prepare him for the ultimate betrayal, one that nearly ended his life. By the time you reach the end of this story, you'll see how Aaron's biggest nightmare wasn't a ghost at all, but the person he trusted most. Aaron Goodwin wasn't supposed to become a household name. Before the cameras and haunted mansions, he was just a kid from Portland who loved art, film, and making people laugh. When Zach Baggins assembled a crew for Ghost Adventures back in 2008, Aaron joined as the cameraman, the guy lugging equipment and capturing Zach's bravado on tape. But it didn't take long before Aaron's personality began stealing the show. Unlike Zach, who projected confidence, Aaron was relatable, nervous, jumpy, often muttering "dude" under his breath while staring into pitch-black hallways. Audiences loved him for it. His unease was authentic, his reactions genuine. Slowly, Aaron moved from behind the camera to the front of it, becoming an integral part of the crew. The success was meteoric. Ghost Adventures ran season after season, turning into a cultural phenomenon. By the mid-2000s, the show had spanned dozens of seasons and hundreds of episodes, with Aaron present in nearly every single one. He ventured into some of the most terrifying places on Earth: abandoned prisons, battlefields, asylums, and notorious murder houses. Fans gravitated to Aaron because he wasn't the fearless leader or the over-the-top skeptic. He was the guy who looked how we would look if we were stuck in a pitch-black cell, listening to a whisper that came from nowhere. His sincerity made him the heart of the series. But behind the laughs and awkward charm, there was another side to Aaron's role. Zach often volunteered him to spend nights alone in the darkest rooms, taunting spirits, while the rest of the team monitored from a safer distance. These solo lockdowns made for gripping television, but they came at a cost. On more than one occasion, Aaron claimed to feel something attached to him, like an unseen presence seeping into his life. At Bobby Mackey's Music World, one of the most infamous episodes, he swore he had been overtaken by a dark force. Fans could see it on his face. Aaron wasn't acting. He carried that encounter with him for years. Though he became a star, he was also becoming a man haunted, not just by ghosts, but by the toll of living in fear, night after night. Fame didn't shield Aaron from the physical and emotional toll of his work. Off-screen, he began to struggle with his health. Years of late nights, long travel schedules, and poor eating habits left him heavier and more fatigued than fans realized. At his peak weight, he hit around 254 pounds, a startling jump that reflected how chaotic his lifestyle had become. While editing projects outside of Ghost Adventures, Aaron admitted he would spend up to 15 hours at a computer, consuming sugary mochas and junk food just to keep going. The once athletic cameraman was suddenly battling exhaustion, low confidence, and creeping health problems. But Aaron wasn't the type to give up. He launched into a transformation that stunned both fans and colleagues. By eliminating sugar and fried foods, drinking only water, and shifting toward organic eating, he gradually lost over 50 pounds, dropping to a lean 197. His before and after photos shocked the paranormal community. For Aaron, it wasn't just about looking better on TV, it was survival. The weight loss was a declaration that he could still take control of his body, even while so much else in his life felt out of his hands. Unfortunately, not all of his demons were physical. Years of immersing himself in terrifying, unpredictable environments chipped away at his mental health. The bravado on screen masked the reality. Aaron suffered crippling anxiety that followed him home. On one notorious lockdown, he experienced a panic attack in front of the cameras. For someone known as the comic relief of the show, this was jarring. Later, Aaron admitted it took him months to recover from that breakdown. Each new episode pushed him back into the fire, and though he always showed up, inside he was deteriorating. The tragedy of Aaron's story begins here. Even as his popularity grew, so did his suffering. He fought his body to get healthier, but he couldn't always fight his mind. Fans saw the smiling, joking sidekick on television, but in private, he was battling restless nights, paranoia, and the lingering feeling that something dark had latched onto him and would never let go. While fans saw Aaron as the goofy yet brave ghost hunter, his life off-camera was far less lighthearted. Ghost adventures demanded relentless travel. Abandoned hospitals in Kentucky, haunted forts in Nevada, prisons in Pennsylvania, and hotels scattered across America's forgotten corners. The constant moving meant weeks away from home. Birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, all were missed or overshadowed by filming. Aaron lived in a suitcase, his home often being the next hotel room. For years, he put his career above everything else, but the cost was mounting. Maintaining friendships was nearly impossible. Old friends from Portland drifted away as Aaron's schedule consumed him. His family, while supportive, saw him less and less. The crew became his surrogate family, yet even those bonds were complicated. Zach Bagans frequently pushed Aaron into the most terrifying situations, often assigning him to go alone into the darkest rooms or basements. On screen, it was entertainment. For Aaron, it was isolation, wrapped in fear. Over time, these moments left him feeling used, like his purpose was to absorb the brunt of the danger so others didn't have to. Then came relationships. While Aaron rarely discussed it publicly, his dating life took blow after blow. Women struggled to accept his constant absence and the rumors that spirits had followed him home. Aaron once admitted he believed entities had latched onto him during investigations, straining intimacy and trust. Imagine trying to build a normal home life while feeling haunted, both literally and emotionally. Loneliness became his silent companion. These sacrifices chipped away at his optimism. Though he smiled on TV, privately, Aaron questioned whether the show was worth the cost. He was sacrificing stability, peace of mind, and the chance at lasting love. Yet, like someone locked in a haunted room, he kept pressing forward. He told himself the work mattered, that the fans counted on him. But in truth, Aaron was running on fumes, hoping that someday he'd find balance, even as the weight of sacrifice grew heavier. For years, Aaron stumbled through fleeting relationships, searching for someone who could understand the chaos of his life. Then came Victoria, a woman who seemed to bring light into his world. Unlike others before her, she accepted the strangeness of his career. She knew the late-night shoots, the haunted locations, and the constant fan attention were part of the package, and she embraced it. Aaron, worn down from years of loneliness, fell deeply and quickly. Their romance blossomed at a time when Aaron needed it most. Victoria had her own battles, including a rare illness called achalasia, which made daily life difficult. Aaron's empathetic nature drew him in closer. He admired her resilience. Together, they created a bond that felt genuine, rooted in shared struggle. When Aaron proposed at Disneyland in October 2019, in front of the glittering castle, it was like a scene from a movie. The big-hearted ghost hunter, known for venturing into nightmares, had found his dream in the happiest place on Earth. The wedding followed in August 2022, staged fittingly at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion ride. It was quirky, eerie, and perfect, an event that screamed Aaron Goodwin. Photos showed him beaming beside his bride, their smiles wide and full of promise. Fans celebrated with him, convinced he had finally found the partner who could anchor his wandering spirit. For Aaron, this wasn't just a marriage, it was salvation. At last, after years of sacrifices and solitude, he had a wife who seemed to complete him. The newlyweds settled into a domestic life in Las Vegas, filling their home with pets. In October 2024, they even adopted a gray kitten that appeared in their yard and refused to leave. Aaron joyfully announced the addition on Instagram, calling the animal our new little fur baby. To outsiders, it looked like the perfect picture, the haunted adventurer finally at peace in a happy home. But beneath the smiles, cracks were beginning to form. Victoria's struggles, Aaron's constant absences, and hidden discontent were quietly brewing. What Aaron thought was his happily ever after was, in truth, the setup for his greatest heartbreak and his most dangerous haunting yet. By late 2023, the picture-perfect marriage between Aaron Goodwin and his wife Victoria had begun to unravel. What looked like blissful domestic life on Instagram, pets, smiles, and Disneyland memories was in truth weighed down by discontent and distance. Aaron's constant filming schedule for Ghost Adventures meant long stretches apart, and when he was home, the tension between them was palpable. Victoria, who battled her own health issues and a history of emotional trauma, seemed increasingly restless. While Aaron believed their struggles were the normal ups and downs of married life, she had already begun seeking a way out, one that defied logic and morality. In early 2024, Victoria struck up correspondence with Grant Amato, a convicted Florida murderer serving life in prison for killing his family. How she found him was strange enough, through a true crime docuseries that featured his case, but what followed was far darker. Victoria's letters to Amato soon turned into phone calls, and the relationship evolved into something disturbingly intimate. She confided in him about her frustrations with Aaron, claiming she felt trapped, unhappy, and desperate for freedom. Instead of pursuing counseling or divorce, she entertained Amato's twisted encouragements. The pair concocted a horrifying plan. Victoria, now emotionally entangled with a killer, began laying the groundwork for Aaron's demise. Investigators later discovered she had shared Aaron's filming schedule, provided details of his travel dates, and even identified the hotels where he would be staying alone during shoots. In their secret exchanges, Victoria expressed cold calculation. "Am I a bad person? Because I chose to end his existence." Not divorce for Aaron. Still believing in his happy marriage, the truth would come like a thunderclap. The man who had survived years of chasing shadows was now the target of his own wife's betrayal. October 15, 2024, was meant to be another ordinary lockdown for Aaron Goodwin, another night in another haunted location in California. But while he tried to rest in his hotel bed, messages were being exchanged that could have sealed his fate. Behind bars, Grant Amato was texting an accomplice, asking whether the job had been done. He wrote that Aaron was asleep in his hotel room, alone, waiting unknowingly for death. Victoria, back home, was allegedly awaiting confirmation, having already agreed to pay more than $11,500 for the hit. What they didn't count on was fate intervening. Prison officials discovered Amato's smuggled cell phone and, upon searching it, uncovered the messages detailing the murder-for-hire plot. Authorities moved quickly, arresting Victoria in March 2025. For Aaron, the news was shattering. He was in the middle of filming when law enforcement reached out to tell him his wife, the woman he had married in front of friends, family, and cameras, was plotting to kill him. The betrayal was beyond comprehension. Court documents revealed chilling details. Victoria had allegedly been not only conspiring with Amato, but also emotionally involved with him, professing love for the man who encouraged her to orchestrate her husband's murder. Aaron later testified that nearly all their savings had been drained in the process, leaving him financially scarred as well as emotionally broken. He immediately filed for divorce, writing there was no possibility of reconciliation. In interviews and courtroom statements, Aaron's voice shook as he described his heartbreak. 7 years of love and trust reduced to ash. He admitted he had begun hiring armed guards for protection, unable to shake the fear that someone might still be out there to finish the job. The man who had stared into the dark for nearly 2 decades now lived with a new kind of terror. One not of ghosts or demons, but of betrayal so profound it nearly cost him his life. June 2025 was the moment Aaron Goodwin could never have prepared for. Stepping into a Las Vegas courtroom to confront the woman he once believed was his soulmate. Victoria, shackled and dressed in prison garb, no longer resembled the smiling bride he had married at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. The contrast was devastating. For Aaron, this was not just a legal proceeding, it was an emotional exorcism, one that forced him to face the depth of betrayal. When it was his turn to address the court, Aaron rose slowly, his voice trembling. In front of the judge, prosecutors, and his estranged wife, he laid bare the truth of his anguish. For 7 years, I thought I was in the most loving relationship of marriage with my best friend, someone I trusted with my whole heart, he began. began. His words cracked as he glanced toward Victoria, who broke down in tears. But Aaron pressed on, explaining how she had not only betrayed his trust, but had put a hit out to kill me, drained their finances, and left him living in constant fear. He described waking up in cold sweats, glancing over his shoulder in public, and hiring armed guards because he no longer felt safe in his own home. The courtroom was silent as Aaron admitted, "I will never feel the same." It's a heartbreak no one should go through in life. His pain was raw, his voice heavy with disbelief that the woman he once adored had conspired with a convicted murderer to erase him from existence. Though Victoria wept and begged forgiveness, promising he would never be in danger from her again, Aaron made it clear he didn't believe her. To him, her apology was empty compared to the horror of her actions. He pleaded with the judge to impose real prison time, knowing that even if she served the maximum, he would still feel unsafe once she was free. In the end, the judge sentenced Victoria to 36 to 90 months in prison, a punishment that seemed both severe and strangely insufficient. As she was led away, Aaron sat motionless, tears streaming down his face. The gavel had fallen, the sentence was set, but the emotional wounds remained. For Aaron, this confrontation didn't bring closure. It only underscored the truth that the ghosts of betrayal linger long after the cell doors close. After the trial, Aaron returned home to Las Vegas, but nothing felt the same. His house, once filled with laughter, pets, and plans for the future, now felt cold and tainted. Every room carried memories of Victoria, their wedding photos, the kitten they adopted, the simple routines of married life. Now, all of it was stained by the knowledge that she had secretly plotted his murder. Even with her behind bars, Aaron confessed he felt no true relief. "I'll never feel safe," he told the court, and that sentiment carried into his daily existence. Therapy became a lifeline. Aaron admitted he needed professional help to process the trauma, attending regular sessions where he spoke about the sleepless nights, the paranoia, and the unrelenting heartbreak. Friends and colleagues noticed the change. He was quieter, more reserved, carrying a heaviness that wasn't there before. On set, Zach Baggins and the crew rallied around him, making sure Aaron was never left alone on investigations unless he wanted to be. But even among friends, the scars showed. His once playful spirit was dulled, replaced by caution and suspicion. Financially, the ordeal had also taken a toll. Court documents revealed that Victoria had nearly emptied their savings to fund her scheme and silence co-conspirators. Years of hard work in television had evaporated in an instant, leaving Aaron not only emotionally drained, but financially wounded. To reclaim a sense of justice, he filed a civil lawsuit against her, accusing her of assault, emotional distress, and even false imprisonment during their marriage. It wasn't about money, but about acknowledging the devastation she caused. Through it all, fans remained a source of comfort. Thousands reached out online, sending messages of encouragement. Aaron publicly thanked them, writing how their support was helping him through an emotionally trying time. Yet behind the gratitude, he acknowledged privately that he was still haunted. The man who had spent years chasing shadows in haunted asylums now admitted that his greatest fear wasn't ghosts, it was people, especially the people closest to him. Haunted by betrayal, Aaron tried to move forward, but every glance in the mirror reminded him of the truth. The darkest demon he had ever faced wasn't from another realm. It had worn a wedding ring and slept in the same bed. Today, Aaron Goodwin is alive, but his life feels like a haunting that never ends. The man once known for his nervous laughter on ghost adventures now carries a heaviness that fans can sense even through the screen. He has admitted openly that he will never feel safe again. Therapy, armed security, and the passage of time have helped him manage the trauma, but nothing can erase the fact that the person he trusted most plotted his death. The betrayal lingers like a shadow in every corner of his life. At home in Las Vegas, Aaron still has his pets and his art to ground him, but even those small comforts are tinged with memories of the marriage that collapsed into tragedy. The kitten he and Victoria adopted still curls up on the couch, a reminder of a love that was never real. Every photograph from their wedding is boxed away, but he doesn't need to see them. Those images live in his mind, reminders of vows spoken with no sincerity behind them. On set, Aaron continues his work with ghost adventures, but even the paranormal has lost some of its menace. "Ghosts don't scare me anymore," he joked to a friend. "It's people I'm scared of now." That truth has changed him. Where once he volunteered for lockdowns with a grin, now his laughter feels softer, less carefree. Fans notice, and many reach out with words of encouragement, reminding him that he is not alone. Yet, beneath the support, Aaron remains haunted. He knows that in just a few years Victoria could be free, and that thought gnaws at him nightly. His trust in people has been shattered, his sense of security gone. Still, he fights each day to reclaim pieces of himself, through therapy, through creativity, through the camaraderie of his crew. Aaron's life at 47 is a tragic reminder that the darkest demons aren't always found in haunted houses. They can live beside us, wear a wedding ring, and smile as they plot our destruction.